Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30. It is Friday the 13th, and I should have stayed under the bed, shouldn't I? Man, I'll tell you. So, today's the last update. We were looking at the ES trading right up here against that resistance area. We were looking at potential failure to take it out. It never really came up and retested that thing. It just kind of stalled right below it and never really got that good retest to try to get short against. But you can see after a while, this started really taking this on a chin. And, uh, and at this point, we're just kind of retracing right back, selling into the close. And we have a long weekend coming up, so I guess that could be a reason why people are taking profit going into this weekend. But so it's basically nothing's going on Monday's a half a day. But you can see how they absolutely kind of nailed this thing, nailed it pretty hard here. So in the last update around 1:30 here, we were looking at it. They were trading runabout here, a little bit off the highs. In 97 was the high. We were trading, what are we at? We were trading at, the high was, we were trading up in J period here. So we were pretty close to it. I mean, you could have potentially gotten short there, but I was holding out for in that 2 o'clock hour to see if they're going to actually extend this to the upside or if they're going to, we're going to see that retest failure. We never really got that retest at the high here in the 2 o'clock hour. So they just kind of started like meandering around a bit. Then they started selling here right at, you see it right at that 2:30 time frame. The whole thing started going sideways. So usually things happen in this time frame. It could be in the beginning, could be in the middle, could be at the end. Right now, this time was right at the end there. So I didn't do anything on the ES, but I did a couple of Nasdaq trades here, and I got myself in trouble. This is just the typical thing on a Friday the 13th you don't want to do, right? But I'm sitting here watching the Nasdaq, and you see Nasdaq was they took out the highs here. They were trading right out there, so I figured we had a shot at retesting these highs, maybe take it higher. So I took a one shot here after they retested the tab twice. I took one shot at it, and that's just low tick me. One of these things when you get in and they just rip it down and right low tick me right to my freaking stop. So okay, that sucked. And then they were kind of drifting this back up again. Looks like they were taking out the high here with a little bit of conviction. One bar backed off, started taking it out again. I figured I had a shot at getting on something here, at least the retesting these highs. And that didn't work. They started running it slower, and I ended up with this thing. I tried to repair it a couple of times, 3 times actually, and expecting at least a rotation back up here, but these guys just ripped it down. And look at that. The low ticked me again on the low here, and then basically knocked me out. So that put me back in the hole of a couple of $100. Then I tried to get short here on the way down as the failure was pretty apparent. Tried to get short once, twice, 3 times, and either one, both of them, or all 3 times, I guess, just get flat out shaken out. It's just too volatile. Unless you want to trade with a really big stop, but then you can get caught in something like this and they'll knock you out anyway. So you kind of have to just stick to your rules, and this guy's just it's just too volatile. So it tried a few times, can't quite stick with it. So because they run it a bit lower, then they rip it back up again and just kind of knock you out. So didn't do much about it, and so I'm down 169 right now, 12 round turn. So yeah, I should have just sat on my hands instead. But what it is. You take one shot, and if you get caught in it, you kind of have to continue a little bit to try to repair the damage a little bit. But I'm not going to try to do any more repairing on it. It's just not. It's just too volatile. So, and at this point, we're right here at the lows on the Nasdaq, the 700s. So here we have a potential for a buying opportunity when they run into this lower area. So trying to chase it now on the short side, it could be a fool's errand. You might find it's in reversing right back in your face. So you don't want to sell into to support, then you want to buy into resistance. So that's kind of the dynamic there. But anyway, so looks like we're getting weakness into the close, and it's not a great sign, but it's what it is. So right now, I'm down 169 on those 12 contracts here. I should probably have sat on my hands because the whole day has been whippy like that. And I figured late in the session here, we had a shot at grinding this higher, but that turned out to be a poor assumptions, poor assumption. But then again, you see here on this rotation up here, I had 2 contracts going in that one. And it could have been a beautiful trade right there, but yeah, shaking me out right before the run. This one here, same story there. Had a pretty good trade going before they ripped it back. And this guy here, same story there. But this one, they ripped it quite a bit higher. So I'm not sure how that would have worked, even if I, you know, not sure quite how that would have worked. because they took it quite a bit higher on that one, the last trade. So that's why I figured out then better just stop instead of trying to make it. Try it 3 times and you can't get it to work. It's like, yeah, you're just kind of pushing it. But anyway, so that's where we are. So starting off this thing, unless they can hold the line here, we're going to be starting off this on the short side. So we are right in the spot here where they're going to have to trade back up a little bit. If they close below this area, the 860 on the Nasdaq or the 6870 on the ES, I would start from the short side, looking to sell strength. And if they will rip it back up above it, we'll start off range bound. So that's the way I'm looking at it. On the bond market, we are looking at a pretty much a sloppy action. So this retest failure I had talked about, they drifted it lower, like 6 ticks, 7 ticks lower, and then they just kind of sideways, and then right back up again. So it's not like would have been a big trade, but it could have gotten a few ticks out of that thing. But anyway, I didn't do much on the bond today. I just kind of sat on it. So after this reaction, it just kind of stalled. This happens typically on the bond when they have a news reaction. You get a repricing right from the get-go, and then they just don't do anything after that, just sit going sideways. So not much you can do about it, but getting in at the very edge gives you a shot at getting a few ticks out of it. I just did not. I was expecting a little bit better price than that. So no trades on the bonds today for me, at least. So back to the ES and the Nasdaq, and we'll see where they're going to go from here. Right now, it looks to me like they're really trying to take it lower. So ripping it into the close kind of sucks, but that's kind of what it is. So unless we see this market reversion and see it make a little bit of an effort going into the close, we have this last part here, like the last 10 minutes. We'll see when the bargain hunting kicks in, if that's going to be on the positive side or if they're going to just absolutely cream it into the close. We will find out. But anyway, right now, the way it looks, we're starting from the short side. We're going to sell strength up to that 68.70 on the ES and the 870 on the Nasdaq. All right, guys, so leave it there. I'll see you back on Tuesday. I'm not going to open the room on Monday. I'm just going to leave it. But on Tuesday, we'll see you guys back. So see you back then. All right, guys, later.